Hello and welcome to IT Chronicles 10 in Tech. I'm Carlos Casanova. I'm here with my colleagues Terry Brown. Hey,
Hi.
Terry.
Hi.
And Ryan Schmier. How you doing, Ryan?
Doing great today.
Hey, so our guest today is Manjeet Singh. He's the ServiceNow ITSM Group Product Manager. Welcome, Manjeet, to our group.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us today.
Hi.
So I wanted to touch on first, the ITSM industry, and service manager in general. Obviously it's been a well-established industry. It's kind of hit some plateaus and whatnot. Can you kind of speak to where you see it? If it's continued growth, if it's improvements in the areas of efficiency and whatnot. Can you kind of speak to that where you see that going over the next year, 2 years, and some of the hurdles and challenges that you envision that we still have?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a little broad question, so I'll touch base on
Definitely broad.
Yeah. So if you look at the evaluation in ITSM in last 10 or 20 years, if you go in like 90s where we started with defining this standardization and process, the ITIL standard came along, and if we look at more recently in last few years, there is this huge progress around moving data to cloud, and there are multiple cloud players, which means we are now in a state where every big customer has this combination of cloud infrastructures, multiple platform. And at the same time, with the more automations, more devices, the IoT, those type of scenarios, the number of ticket volume is on continuous rise. So there's kind of, at a very high level, two categories: the people-generated requests and tickets, and then there is a machine-generated volume. Right. So which means that the complexity is increasing at a very rapid rate because of the volume, because of the multiple cloud platform and the integration requirements, all those APIs, and at the same time, the expectation from the end user side is also changing. The new workforce is more younger people are coming into workforce, and then they are expecting more consumer-like experience. They are expecting more on-demand type of the service fulfillment. And if we put all of these things together, I think the role of IT is changing quite a bit. I think in last year or so, I was seeing all around that IT is the enabler for the business. But what I see more going forward is that IT's role is changing from enabler to inspiring the strategy, and finding out the new ways where company can create more digital offering. So another way, if I see is every company is becoming a technology company in some way or other. So that's kind of at a high level what's happening, and the expectations from the employee side of things, and the role of IT in between.
So, Manjeet, you talked about two things there. You talked about the IT environment getting more complex with things like cloud, and I think digital transformation and IoT and other emerging trends are playing into that as well. But you're also talking about, on the flip side, the expectations of users and of business organizations are getting more demanding. As an ITSM practice or an ITSM practitioner, what do you do about this? How can ITSM help organizations, balance between managing complexity and managing expectations?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and there are many different thoughts and framework that I've seen people use to. So problem is, I think, is well understood at a very high level. But now, how you approach as a solution for that problem? I think in our world, in the ServiceNow world, we are a platform company which is built from the ground up from the cloud and cloud-based offering. One way is that someone that can play the role of kind of platform, which means even if you have multiple the platform like Salesforce or SAP, and doesn't matter who is the vendor, but from the IT standpoint, if I can have a one single engagement layer that can bring the structured and efficiency and transparency, like where the work is happening and how can I route the work based on which particular department in an organization is going to fulfill that request. And then, of course, with the enhancement in the AI and ML, and so depending on the use case, which solution kind of fit to that either will help in resolving or making the self-service faster. But to me, from the end user standpoint, some of these things, right, where we are using AI or ML, it all has to be hidden and completely transparent to the user. Very similar to, if you look at any of the consumer side of product like Google Map or even, your Uber app. So, and how efficiently it detects, the optimizing the route. And that to me a great analogy when I see how works happen in the organization across these multiple cross-functional team, where you have the IT workflow, where you have the customer workflow, and you also have the employee workflow. And I think someone who can bring all these pieces together and have kind of an engagement layer, that's where I see the one great way to handle this continuously growing complexity and situation.
So Manjeet, I think this falls into, I've seen you speak before, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is where you speak to it more in terms of a continual optimization versus the traditional ITIL CSI type of thing. Is that kind of in line with what you're saying?
Yeah, so I think the continual optimization, this is one of the key theme because I talked to a lot of customers, and one thing that came out, it was very evident is, they go in implementing incident, problem chain and all the others, and never thinking about that how you will improve these things, because as they grow, they bring in complexity. And I think this is where the continual optimization has to be part of your strategy. And there are two school of thoughts here. One is you say, hey, breakthrough innovations, where you're continuously looking for new ideas to, generate new business and new revenue. The second is that how we can make the tiny and continuous improvement all across your, both from the bottom up and as well as from the kind of top down. So the way that I think about the continual optimization is broader than the typical term like CSI and ITIL and other framework. I see it as that you should plan your continual optimization strategy not just at the process level, but you should think at the, let's say if you are a service portfolio owner, right? You have or a CIO. Hey, my team is delivering these 5 key services, email, printing, and whatever that is. How can I have the transparency and visibility, and then go into the one layer down, what processes are involved, what people are involved, and what is the enabling technology, and how can I improve all of these in alignment with my outcomes, because I want better customer experience, I want a reduced cost, and I want to have a greater efficiency while helping my business.
I like what you're saying there about, looking beyond just the services as they've been defined, looking at how they evolve, looking at how they're being used, really driving towards the outcomes. That really seems to resonate with the concepts of digital transformation and blending what's going on within IT with what's going on within the business operations itself. So I like the way we're taking the traditional CSI approach to continuous refinement and applying it more broadly across the organization. That seems to make a lot of sense. Right. So as you play that forward, how do you see this continual optimization concept helping to break down silos within the organization? Can this be applied more broadly to help different parts of your IT or business organizations work better together to break those down?
Yeah, I think that's you're spot on, right? One is we can talk about these different tools and capability, but how you can make it a reality. My take is you first is you should have a tool where you can bring all your improvement ideas from maybe you start small from one team, but slowly how you can empower everybody in your organization so that they can submit, hey, I work on this particular process and there's a lot of bottlenecks here, unnecessary approvals. So getting useful ideas and feedback. And then, you have the process owner, service owner, or improvement managers. Their job is to prioritize that request, that backlog, and then see how it help in fulfilling our strategic goals. So in that way, you are bringing alignment. You have one place to break the silos. It's not that I have the improvement. Should I do it as an incident or a problem or a story? So there is a tool or a framework requirement. And then you basically start small and then empower everybody to build that culture so that everybody feels that that their contribution is making an impact. Let's say if I submitted a request and if I know that request is being prioritized and being implemented, and so that I can track the improvement maybe over a period of time.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's I think that's key in a lot of what we're seeing. Like Ryan said, the digital transformation. I think in your organizations that you see that are much more highly effective, highly efficient, you have that sense of contribution and ownership that plays into that. So I think that's kind of playing right into that. And with that, I think we're going to have to probably wrap it up. Excuse me. Sorry about that. It's been great speaking with you. Obviously, it's an area that that we're pretty passionate about, and seeing the continued progression, to avoid using any of the existing words, I think is key because all of us that have worked in this space know that companies still have a pretty long way to go to achieving a lot of the the objectives and goals that a lot of us that have been working in the space know are there. So any new ways of looking at it, I think are beneficial to get more companies there. So with that, I thank you for taking your time today with us, and I wish you all the best. Keep us informed on your progress, and hopefully we'll have you back on and kind of see where things are at. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Manjeet.